One of the experiments that are brought up on board the orbital Cygnus vehicle that the crew is now unloading is the Dove experiments, the satellite project that is going to be demonstrating some new technology. And we have joining us remotely Chris Boshuizen, who's going to be telling us a little bit about that experiment. Thanks so much for joining us, Chris.
Hi, Brandi.
So tell us a little bit about the Dove project. What is it, and what exactly is your involvement in it?
I work at Planet Labs, and Planet Labs is a company that's trying to provide frequent images of the entire Earth. And so our ultimate goal is to launch 100 very large cameras in space in CubeSats and provide high frequency, updated, high resolution maps of the Earth. And so on the Cygnus, we actually launched 28 of these cameras to run a number of experiments and to test them out in a fairly low orbit and get used to running large numbers of satellites in space.
That sounds like an ambitious project. Can you tell us a little bit about the satellites, what their capabilities are, what they were meant to do?
Yeah, so each satellite is called a Dove, and we picked that name because we really wanted to represent the amazing use cases we think we could have for our data, like just helping life and humanity on Earth and helping our ecosystem and understanding what we're doing to our planet. So the Dove satellites are about 30 centimeters by 10 by 10 centimeters, or about 12 by 4 by 4 inches. So a standard 3U CubeSat. They have almost, I guess, 80% of the volume inside is a giant telescope. And so we wanted to fit the biggest telescope we could in a CubeSat. And then we have all of the other things that a satellite needs, like a control system, radios, storage, and reaction wheels for moving the satellite around.
And all of these are meant to be taking photos of the Earth for how long?
So the ones that we're putting in higher orbits, we actually plan to have operational for a couple of years and provide continuous coverage. The NanoRacks orbit that we go into from the space station is a little lower, and so the satellites will last somewhere between 5 to 7 months on average.
And I think this is not the first flock that you've put into orbit. How's your other flock fared? And can you tell us anything about the results from it?
So great, yeah. So we've actually launched two so far, and so the first one was on a previous Antares flight, and that almost all of those satellites in orbit, two of them have deorbited now, and so the ones we have now are the replacements for those. And so those were taken onto the station, and then the astronaut Koichi Wakata was kind enough to spend a lot of hours assembling together the large dispenser packs you see in these images. And then the satellites were taken out of the hatch and ejected into space over about a 1 month period. One of the cool things about launching from the space station is normally when you're on a rocket, everything happens so quickly and there's no live video. No one ever sees their satellites. And so we're really privileged that we're able to get these really amazing high-res pictures of our satellites in space. It's a rare and fascinating opportunity, and the pictures look so good.
I remember seeing some of the video of those satellites launching, and it was exciting to see. So, how does this new round add to what you've already done? What does it bring to the project?
So one of the things we're trying to do at Planet Labs is sort of redo how system engineering is done on spacecraft. So if you think about it, system engineering was more or less sort of codified as a discipline around the time of Apollo. And a lot of the rules that I used to use when I was at NASA and other places haven't been updated in a while. So meanwhile, this entire industry of software was born that has completely different approaches to solving problems. So we've tried to build satellites as if they were software. And so what we have on this next flock are bug fixes and feature updates. And so we have things we've added, and from the lessons we learned from the first flock, we're able to roll out about 200 small changes, which we call bugs. So bug fixes.
Well, how exactly did you get hooked up with the Cygnus cargo craft? Has that been a good partnership for you?
Oh, it's been amazing. The folks at Orbital have been very kind, and one of the interesting things about running a hardware company like software is you want to release as late as possible because you still might have bugs. And so the folks at Orbital have been very receptive to late delivery, as have our NASA partners. But I think the real key to this has been NanoRacks, who have provided the service for us to get access to space in this way. And the amount of sort of things that you have to take into consideration when you're launching on a manned space station is huge. and NanoRacks do a splendid job really helping us work through those processes and make sure that what we're delivering is safe for the astronauts to handle. So we wouldn't be in space in this way without NanoRacks.
Well, we're glad you are in space. What's the next step for you? What happens after this?
So while with the berth, the capsule, Cygnus capsule berth with the station this morning or yesterday, and the hatches opened, I guess, as you just said. So we can't wait to see our satellites pulled out of cargo and starting to be assembled. And then, like on the previous Flock 1A, they'll go out into space, and we'll probably have a small, launch viewing party here. And I've never seen so many engineers scream when they see a satellite actually spit out of the space station and float off into space. So that, I guess, is going to take about 2 weeks. And so that gives us a little more time to prepare for the first orbits around the Earth. So we're setting up our ground stations now for contact with the satellites in about 2 weeks.
All right, we'll be watching here as well. We can't wait to see that. That again was Chris Boshuizen, the co-founder of Planet Labs, which has sent up a new fleet of satellites that's going to be launched from the space station soon. Thanks again for joining us, Chris.
Thanks, Brandi.